What is going on, guys? It is June the 11th, and today we have a pretty sizable June Pixel feature drop. And what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to run down all these new features, probably pretty close to all these new features, and try and break down exactly what they mean. So the first one, Gemini Nano expands to Pixel 8 and Pixel 8a. You may remember that a couple of weeks or months back, there was a bit of a controversy because Gemini Nano was only going to be available on the Pixel 8 Pro. If you don't know, this is a version of the Gemini large language model that runs directly on the device. It doesn't have to be sent to the cloud. It's running locally, and that can be a pretty big deal. Now, Google said it would be restricted to the 8 Pro because it had enough RAM. The other devices had a little bit less RAM, and that would be a problem. However, it turns out that Nano was going to be running on some other Android phones that had the same amount of RAM as those, and it was running okay there. So they ended up kind of backtracking. They said it would come to these devices, and that is happening now. So sort of strangely, to enable this, you're going to have to turn on developer options. So go into your settings, go to About, scroll all the way down until you see build number, if I'm not mistaken. Click that a bunch of times until you become a developer. Back out. Go to System, then Developer Options, look for AI Core, click that, and you can enable it there. At that point, what you're going to be able to do is do things like this. Summarize the text that is in your recorder app. So when you're recording things, it gives you a transcript. You can now summarize that transcript. They're also giving you things like smart replies within WhatsApp and Google Messages, as well as Magic Compose, which is text generation within Google Messages. Other applications, third-party apps will support this more and more as time goes on. But again, you can turn it on right now. Something else we've talked about on this channel a couple of times. We talked about rooting your phone to get here. We've talked about betas that did this. It is finally live. It is finally stable. Your Pixel 8a, your Pixel 8, or your Pixel 8 Pro, plug them into a display, C to C, C to HDMI, whatever it might be, and it will now actually pop up and ask you to mirror your display. Yes, indeed, you can plug in your phone and see it on a bigger screen. Now, unfortunately, if you're using a Pixel 7 or older or a Pixel Fold, it's not going to be a thing that's going to work. It's just the 8 series Pixels. That is a bit of a bummer. It is just the unfortunate situation that we are in. For this next one, find your phone even when the battery dies. So this new Find My Device network is rolling out. And for the Pixel 8, 8a, and 8 Pro, again, that should be something you're hearing quite a bit in this video. You can now find that device even when it's dead for up to 23 hours. Basically, it stores just enough reserve power to be locatable for about 23 hours, and that is pretty useful. This next feature talks about using HDR Plus to almost mimic something like Best Take. When you take a photo on these Pixel devices using HDR Plus, it takes a whole bunch of pictures, and then it sort of exposes them all differently, does interesting things to each frame, and then it layers them all together, and you get your Ultra HDR photo. With this feature, it's going to be able to find a frame in that chunk of photos that it took in that sort of very brief amount of time, and you'll be able to pick the correct one that you like to get the shot that you were actually looking for, to maybe avoid a blink or something like that. I think that is actually really quite cool. Quickly look up a mystery phone number. If you're like me, you probably get a ton of spam calls. You're now going to have a nice handy little button to do a reverse phone number search directly in your call log. Google Wallet is now getting the ability to store everyday items like boarding passes, loyalty cards, event tickets, public transport tickets, gift cards, and more, just making Google Wallet even more useful. It's already a very useful app. I've started using it more and more, actually, and that is pretty cool to see. This is a bit of a strange one for me, though. As you can see in here, this says it's only going to be a thing on the Pixel Fold and then the Pro model, 6 Pro, 7 Pro, and 8 Pro. Basically, you're going to get a change in the way that your camera app looks. Instead of showing, 0.6, 1, and then 5, or whatever it might be, 1, 2, and 5, it's not going to say ultra wide, wide, and telephoto. I'm not actually seeing this on my Pixel Fold yet, so maybe there's a camera app update coming. I don't know if there's something you can turn off or turn on. What exactly is going on there? It appears like they're just in regular photo mode. Kind of a strange one, but it is something that apparently is coming. Before we talk about the Pixel Watch, I do want to let you know that I'm going to put a link in the description down below to the bug fixes, and there are a ton. Just pay attention that whichever one you look at the number behind it, and then scroll down and reference that number, and it will actually tell you what phones that is applicable for. There are a bunch. I'm not going to read through them. They'll be in the description. For the Pixel Watch, though, it says we have car crash detection coming to the Pixel Watch 2. It says if you're in a severe car accident, your watch can now check to make sure you're okay. If you need help or you don't respond, it'll automatically dial emergency services. Car crash detection integrates with the emergency sharing that's already on your watch, etc., etc. This is a potentially life-saving feature. More stuff with Google Wallet. Apparently, you're going to now have the ability to pay with PayPal straight from your watch without ever taking out your wallet or your phone. And we also have some improvements to the Google Home app on your Pixel Watch as well. It says you can access your favorites with just a swipe of your watch. Tap the device icon to open the Home app and adjust the temperature, dim the lights, so forth and so on. So basically just making it quicker and easier to interact with your favorites within the Google Home app. For those handful of people that actually have a Pixel tablet and a Nest doorbell, you're going to get a little bit better integration there. As you can see, when you're docked in hub mode, you're going to get a snapshot of who's at your front door, and you can interact with them that way. This last one is another one that might be coming with a later app update. I'm not seeing this yet on my phones, but going back to Google Home, you're going to be able to have a widget for Google Home. Finally, I have no idea why this possibly took so long, but I'm happy to have it here. I can't wait for this to actually roll out. And that kind of brings me to the last thing I want to say. The update itself for the system is indeed rolling out, and it is actually QPR3. You've heard me talk about the QPR3 betas and so forth. This is the quarterly platform release number 3 for Android devices. You can check for an update now. It may pop up right now. It is rolling out. What I did is what I tend to do when it comes to things like this is I just went to Google itself, where they actually will supply you with the actual files. I downloaded them and sideloaded them myself, so I don't have to actually wait for it to hit my device. You can do that, or you can just wait. It will be arriving fairly soon. Some of these features, though, like I kind of already mentioned, may or may not be hitting your device straight away. Sometimes with these things, they do a system update, but then there are individual app updates that come along that will add things like the Google Home widgets, so forth and so on. So that is something to be kind of just watching out for as time goes on. So guys, there you go. That is the June feature drop. That is Android QPR3. Lots of potentially interesting new features arriving. Let me know what you think about them in the comments down below. Was there anyone that actually stood out to you? Like I said, hit those comments. Subscribe for more content just like this. I'll see you on the next one. And until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.